You tap your card to buy a $4 coffee. It takes about 2 seconds, it feels completely free, and you never think about it again. But in those 2 seconds, a small toll was quietly skimmed off the top, roughly 2% of everything you just spent. You did not pay it directly. The coffee shop did, which is exactly why you never notice it is even happening. Except the shop does not actually eat that cost. It bakes it straight into the price of the coffee. So everyone pays it, even the person paying with cash. Add up every swipe in America, and that quiet little toll came to over $180 billion in a single year. It is one of the largest, most invisible taxes in all of modern life, and almost all of it flows to two companies you never actually chose. Let's follow the money. When you tap that card, a tiny race begins. In under 2 seconds, a message sprints across a global network and all the way back. It runs from the shop's terminal to a processor to a card network like Visa or MasterCard to your bank, which approves it and sends the money back the other way. So picture the whole thing as a pipe. Your $4 flows in one end, and out the far end, the merchant finally gets paid. But at one junction along that pipe, a small amount gets quietly siphoned off into a side tank. That siphon is the swipe fee. On a typical card, that fee runs somewhere between 1.5% and 3.5% of the sale. Tiny on one coffee, staggering across a whole economy. And that siphon money does not all flow to one place. It gets split up, and where each slice actually goes is the whole story. The biggest slice of the fee even has a name, interchange. And here is the first real surprise. It does not go to Visa or MasterCard at all. It goes to your bank. The bank that issued your card collects the lion's share of the toll on basically everything you buy. Visa and MasterCard themselves keep only a thin sliver, an assessment fee. But that sliver, times every card swipe on Earth, is a money printing machine. And there are really two kinds of swipe fee hiding in here. Debit card fees were actually capped by law back in 2011. But credit card fees were left completely uncapped, which is a big part of why they just kept climbing. On the surface, a swipe looks completely free. But just beneath the surface sits a vast hidden mass of fees. In 2024, U.S. merchants paid a record $187 billion in card swipe fees. And because it is baked right into prices, the average household quietly pays hundreds of dollars a year in swipe fees without ever once seeing a line item. So why exactly two companies? Because Visa and MasterCard sit at the dead center of almost every card swipe in the country. Between just the two of them, they run the rails for the overwhelming majority of card payments in America. A near total duopoly. And here is the genuinely clever part. They set the interchange rates, the toll, but they mostly hand that toll straight to the banks instead of keeping it. Which sounds oddly generous until you see what it buys them. An army of thousands of banks, all fiercely motivated to push their particular cards on you. Visa and MasterCard barely touch the cash themselves. They just own the toll road. And owning the toll road is one of the best businesses ever invented. Add it all up, and together, Visa and MasterCard are worth well over $1 trillion. Two companies that make almost nothing physical at all, sitting on one of the single most valuable franchises in all of finance. It is exactly why both of them sit among the most profitable large companies on the entire planet, with profit margins most industries can only dream about. So how do the banks get you to swipe their card instead of rivals? Simple. They hand you back a cut of the toll. We call them rewards. Your cash back, your airline miles, your points, they're funded almost entirely by that very same swipe fee the merchant is paying. And this quietly creates a loop. Better rewards make you swipe more. More swiping means more fees collected. More fees fund even richer rewards. Round and round it spins and every single turn nudges the fees and the prices hiding behind them a little bit higher. And here's the real sting. The fee is baked into the prices everyone pays, but the rewards flow mostly to wealthy, high-spending cardholders. So the person paying with cash or using a plain debit card is quietly subsidizing the points on some rich traveler's premium rewards card. And the rewards just keep escalating. Premium cards now dangle airport lounges, travel credits, and sign-up bonuses worth hundreds of dollars. An arms race that only makes any sense because the swipe fee keeps quietly paying for all of it. At which point you might reasonably ask, why don't the merchants just refuse to take the most expensive cards? For a very long time, the network rules made that nearly impossible. If you accepted the card at all, you had to accept all of them, fees and everything. And openly charging customers extra just for using a card is restricted, awkward, and a wonderful way to lose the sale entirely. This is the deep trap of a two-sided market. Merchants need the cardholders. The cardholders are locked to their banks, and the banks are locked to the networks. The whole balance is tipped hard toward the networks and the banks. The merchant's only real move left is to raise prices on absolutely everyone. And it lands hardest of all on the smallest businesses. A corner store running on painfully thin margins can lose more to the swipe fees on a sale than it actually keeps in profit on that very same sale. Which is the final twist of a knife. The merchant doesn't truly pay that fee at all. You do at the register on every single thing you buy. Merchants have actually been fighting this in court since 2005. That is 2 full decades of litigation over these fees. And in 2025, Visa and MasterCard proposed a settlement valued at around $200 billion, which sounds absolutely enormous. But then you read the fine print. The actual fee reduction works out to about 1/10 of 1 percentage point, slowly phased in over 5 years. A small cap on the rates for a handful of years. And then, in most versions of the deal, the meter is free to start climbing all over again. Retail groups flatly called it a smokescreen, a giant headline number that barely dents the real, underlying toll. For a little contrast, just look across the Atlantic. Europe capped interchange at around 0.3 of 1%. American fees can run something like 7 times higher for the exact same tap of the exact same card. Because the machine underneath is left completely untouched. As long as 2 companies own the rails and the banks love the rewards, the toll has every reason to keep rising. So step back, and the ordinary card in your pocket slowly turns into something a lot stranger than it looks. It is a private toll booth on nearly every purchase in the entire economy, run by 2 companies, paid by all of us, and voted on by no one. The real genius of it is the invisibility. A tax you can actually see gets fought. A tax baked into the price of a coffee just quietly becomes the price of a coffee. And to be fair, you do get something real for it. Speed, convenience, fraud protection, a little cash back. The system works beautifully for the people who run it. And it is, in large part, a peculiarly American arrangement. In much of the rest of the world, the very same tap of a card quietly costs a small fraction of what it costs right here. But the next time a tap feels completely free, just remember that nothing ever truly is. Someone, somewhere, is always quietly holding the other end of the pipe. 2 seconds, 2%, 2 companies, a toll so small you will never once feel it, and so vast that, together, we pay it 180 billion times a year.